In this video, I'm gonna be reviewing two more of my games against my own chess engine called Ferrous. If you haven't seen the first episode yet, go and watch it, or watch it after this one, I don't care. I think it's safe to call it a full-fledged series, so I'm going to create a playlist where all the episodes will be available. There are two more games which I'm going to be showcasing in the next video or one of the next videos. So stay tuned and enjoy the video. So the first game started with c4. This is the English opening. I decided to see what Ferrous is going to play against it. Played knight f6. And this is a clear indication that it probably wants an Indian game. Now d4 is an option. This is in fact what I played. There are many options like g6, e6, d5. d5 is not a good move, but c5 is. Instead, Ferrous plays knight e4. This is an inaccuracy, and I agree with that. Obviously, you never want to move the same piece more than once in the opening. The best way to punish this is to play f3, knight f6 back, followed by e4, taking the full center. I played this way, knight c6, another inaccuracy, playing right directly into d5. I play more passively. My logic is that his knight moved twice, my knight moved once. If he takes, I take with the bishop. I have a lead in development. That's nice. f5 though, this is a clear mistake. Complete misunderstanding of pawn structure, king safety. The best move is again d5, try to kick out the knight. I played this way, attacking the pawn, and Ferrous plays e5. There are many ways, I think, to win a pawn. I decided to do it this way, and now Ferrous plays bishop e7, blocking the line. Now I obviously have two main choices here. Number one is I can take the pawn. Number two, I can push d5. I play e3, and my logic here is, well, the bishop really doesn't have anywhere to go, so I don't really need this diagonal that much. Ferrous castles, and this time inaccuracies from Stockfish are accurate, because it plays right into bishop d3, threatening the pawn on h7. Now, if you play g6, you weaken the dark squares, but at this point you have no choice but to play g6, because you have to defend against checkmate. What you should not play is knight to b4. Knight b4 is a fascinating move. It leads to checkmate in 7. But even if you don't see checkmate at 7, especially if you're a shallow engine, you should never allow the queen near your king like this, especially if it can grab a pawn on its way in. Queen h7, king f7, and now there's mate in 6. Honestly, I was sitting there for like 5 minutes trying to come up with a solution. I was calculating several moves. Queen f5, queen g6, they look like they lead to a draw. So the correct combination, well, you can pause and find it. There are two of them. First of all is knight takes e5. And if the king goes to e6, this is the longest way to survive. Queen h3, king d6, c5 check, king d5, bishop c4, king e4. Here either f3 check, rook takes f3, g takes f3 mate, or queen g4, rook f4, queen takes f4 mate. Another combination, which I'm eager to show to you, is queen h5 check, king e6, d5 check, king d6, queen takes c5, king c5, queen d4 check, king d6, c5 mate. Everything else doesn't lead to checkmate. I tried to calculate knight e5 and then queen g6, but I concluded that after bishop f6 there's no checkmate. So I played this, and won a pawn, which is reasonable. Bishop f6. By the way, I'm threatening checkmate over here. Bishop f6 is a nice move. Knight g5 check. A sacrifice of a knight, you cannot take it. If you take, this is checkmate. So king d6. Knight f7 check. At this point, you have to sacrifice the rook. If you don't, if you go here, there's some forced checkmate. If you go back, I just play queen h7, and the queen is trapped. Now the queen goes to e8. I just move the knight. Anywhere I move it, it's a discovered check and an attack on the queen. So you lose the queen. Bishop takes c5. And I just win here after bishop d2. And if you're wondering why the game ended, is because Ferrous just crashed due to some bug, which I'm not sure what it was. But I eagerly assumed I won because I have a crushing advantage and a lot of material. Let's move on to the next game. So this game started with d4 e6. If you remember the first game, I played the French defense there, played d5, e5. That was an interesting game. This time I played c4. Decided to check what Ferrous has to offer. Played bishop d6, which is a clear sign that it doesn't really know what it's doing. I just take the center, knight c6, knight f3, bishop e7. This is no good. Once again, it violates opening principles. You move the same piece twice in the opening. I play d5. And after an exchange, the knight goes back. This is actually one of the best moves, because if you go to a5, b4 just traps the knight. If you go to b4, a3, knight a6, and bishop takes a6, just ruins the pawn structure. There's actually a way to get out of this, which is bishop b4 check. If bishop blocks, you just take it. Knight c3, you play knight e7, and you're not even that much behind the development. Anyway, knight b8. I play this move bishop c4, and my idea here was it has a long-term pressure on f7 and on the king side in general if I push d6. However, what I missed here is Ferrous just has d6 itself. I completely forgot about this move for some reason, and my bishop is kind of passive now. I castle and get hit with f5. Now f5 is a nice attempt, I have to admit, because if I take, there's bishop takes f5, and black gets somewhat active, but even there, Stockfish is not convinced, because I have all sorts of knight d4, rook e1, knight c3, so that position is not ideal. However, to me, it is really nice with black. That's what I would play. I decided to not let Ferrous get that much of space, and I play knight c3. The idea is, of course, if f takes c4, I recapture with a knight. Bishop d7. It's not a good move, and I saw on the previous turn that I had this idea e5, and that if d takes e5, my d-pawn goes forward and my bishop becomes more active. And now I also have this idea, but I also saw another nice concept here, which is the knight in the corner is actually protected only by the rook, and this pawn is unprotected. So if I play queen b3, that's actually a move with a tempo, because I attack the pawn, and if black defends it, which happened in the game, I can play e5. And now I'm threatening, first of all, I can capture, I can also push, and also if black takes, I am winning on the spot, because I have d6, the bishop is under attack, and the knight is under attack, thanks to the queen that I put here in the previous move. However, Ferrous plays a move that I expected to last probably, b5. b5 is a pure sacrifice of a pawn. That's a nice attempt to complicate the position. Obviously I can just take, and actually if you take here, you end up in a losing position, because both bishop takes b5 and queen takes b5. I think queen takes b5 is stronger, because your queen now is active, and the only move here is basically to play king f8. And if you don't play it, first of all, if you play knight d7, I just play e6 and win your knight because it's pinned. If you play, well, knight c6 is not available. If you play c6, I take. That's another free pawn. And if you play queen d7, I actually play queen b7. And here I win the rook. And I'm also threatening bishop b5. So that's losing. And that's exactly why Ferrous takes this instead. I take back with the knight. And here it does something quite dubious and ridiculous, which is bishop takes b5. In such positions, you never want to take. You would rather be taken and develop your pieces and keep your king safer. When this happens, I can just recapture. And now king f8 is actually lethal. Because if king f8, I can play d6. And if I don't see a better combination, I win the bishop. But if I do see, I actually checkmate black by force. This is checkmate. If you play queen e8, you lose it. So knight h6 is the longest possible combination here. Bishop takes h6, queen e8, bishop takes e8, queen takes e8, queen f7 check, king d8, queen takes e7 check, queen c8, and queen c7 mate. So that's the combination. And Ferrous, to its credit, finds the best defense, which prolongs the game. Queen d7. I win the queen. And play bishop f4, putting pressure on c7 pawn. The best move here is to run your king. And the way Ferrous does it is not quite accurate. This way is actually, the king on c8 is actually more vulnerable, because there's queen c3. At the very least, I win the rook. And even if you play bishop d8, first of all, I can just play d6 or rook c1, or I can even take. And after bishop takes, there's again d6 or rook c1. Ferrous instead plays bishop f8 and blunders checkmate in 1. I'm mostly happy with how both I and Ferrous played these games. What I'm not happy with is the fact that Ferrous blunders checkmates in 1. It's not supposed to do so. It's supposed to see 1.5 moves ahead. Well, I'm looking forward to the new version, which I'm about to finish. So hopefully the second version will be more competent.